Speed, pace, momentum, velocity. Our world is increasingly fast and our culture is immediate. Everything moves quickly. Moving your money shouldn't be any different. With Gravity, you can buy and sell Bitcoin instantly. We're building the Bitcoin bank of the future today.
Hello and welcome to another episode of CryptoTime. My name's James Coughlin and I'm joined with my usual co-host, Antonio Shillingford. How are you today, mate?
I'm doing rather fine. How about yourself?
Yeah, good. Obviously, as I'm sure you can see, we're in slightly different settings today. So we're on day 2 of the CoinGeek event, which has been absolutely prolific, if not epic in itself up until this point. Just to start everyone off, we literally have gone mental to get this stand together at the start. So we had all the team down here putting everything together to ensure that we had this great stand to obviously showcase exactly what we were going to be doing here at CoinGeek 2020 London. So without further ado, let's kick into some of the speakers. Let's have a look at exactly what's been happening in terms of the movers and shakers of this event itself. So looking into it, we had a great start obviously coming from Jimmy. Jimmy kicked off the event as always. He's a massive advocate for this space. He obviously runs the Bitcoin Association, which is very, very interesting in itself. They had a fantastic evening last night where they had a meal as well. And it's nice just to see that the whole crowd is being welcomed into the space by Jimmy in that way and format.
Yeah, and just talk about the energy within this event in general. It's honestly refreshing to see all of these different companies excelling in this space and positioning themselves in the correct manner, because of course you need to be on a chain that scales efficiently. And excuse me and pardon me because my voice is literally going, but it's just been a positive outcome. And all of these key speakers that have been on, which we'll run through in a second, the talks have been amazing. Yeah,
and I think, to be honest with you, one thing I've really noticed from being at this event is we really are seeing what Calvin Ayre mentioned, a year of enterprise, right? And the thing that's fantastic about that is that we have seen all of these people in this space multiple times before. They haven't gone anywhere. It's not this ICO phase where they've run out of that money and it's an empty can sitting on the shelf as we've described in many other episodes. What we can see is a real feeling here. And that's something that I've massively taken away from this event, is there is a hum, there's a buzz. There's a feeling of something being made and something being created which is better for the future than what we have today. And I think that this is something that I have really, really enjoyed speaking to people about. And it's been something for us as a journey as well here at Bitstocks. We've created our products, we've done what we've done, we've come and showcased them here. We've launched obviously Gravity now for the general public. So if anybody's interested in signing up for that, you'll find a link in the description below where you can do that. Now, I think it really is exciting, and I know you've got some stance on that.
I think one of the biggest things for myself is the fact that if we've just looked at the crypto space in general, so from, of course, when they first came about and we had the big buzz of ICOs, we had pretty much all of these different companies building ideas but shaking their cups at the same time.
Exactly.
And that is pretty much all of the space was. It was people just trying to build their ideas. Now it's turned into the fact that these are actually real companies that are actually generating a profit off their business models that they've created. So we'll just run through some of them.
Yeah, so let's have a look into it. So let's start off with our very own, actually, Michael Hudson. That was absolutely prolific in terms of the speech. The emotion in the room was incredible. The amount of people that spoke to us afterwards about what Michael was saying was absolutely insane. Now, anybody that hasn't had the chance to obviously watch the live stream, I'm not going to go into all of the speakers and what was said, because I think it's a great opportunity to really us plug out the good points from these speakers and give you the opportunity to go away and obviously listen to what it is. But where Michael came from this point is fantastic, and he feels that we have a great opportunity here. We have a great future. It's looking bright, and not only that, he's come up with some amazing discoveries about the space throughout this time. And that's not just something that he's done alone. He's done it with the team of Bitstocks, with other people out there like Nassim, like Serge, some brilliant actors that have come into the space with us. So I think that's been something that's very interesting.
And it was very young, refreshing, and with his presentation, there was a lot of imagery in it. And of course, to understand the symbolism that he had in that particular presentation, I do strongly recommend everyone go and actually watch that Nassim podcast that he done, because that podcast is groundbreaking and it does fully explain a lot of the imagery that he did have in his presentation, and it applies it to everything that we've got here, everything that we've been building. The fact that we've got VR on one side and we've got a simulator on the next. To a lot of people, that don't really make sense. But once you piece together all of those different strings and all of those different loops, then it makes sense.
Yeah, and I think that that's something that Michael's made very clear is he's been dropping breadcrumbs for a long time now as to coming to the head point of this speech that took place yesterday. And it's a massively emotional moment for us at Bitstocks and Michael himself. It was great to see.
We saw quite a few members in the team crying.
Yeah, we did indeed.
I'm surprised that Michael didn't start blubbering on the stage.
I don't think he was far off, but the point is here is that it's absolutely amazing to see because of the way that he has put his heart and soul into this and got to this point I'm really happy with. So I think that covers Michael, our CEO here at Bitstocks, quite nicely. Moving on to Steve Shadders. Steve Shadders, again, we're huge advocates of, always have been in this space. He is the guy that puts the nail in the coffin when it comes to getting all of this work done behind the BSV scene. And he's built a great team. We've had multiple developers from the nChain camp coming over to us while we've been here with very positive things to say about the future and where they're going and in terms of the targets that they've been hitting. So yeah, it's really nice to see all those points too.
Yeah, and of course, with characters like Steve Shadders, huge character, and has done a hell of a lot of work for this BSV community in general and just Bitcoin and the world.
Yeah.
But of course, with that, there's a team, and we've got to see all of the members behind effectively what makes Steve Shadders and nChain.
Yep.
So we've had some amazing conversations basically.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Moving on, we also had Alex from Handcash and his business partner Rafael, which did a fantastic speech as well. Again, it's really nice to see that these guys are not just doing the whole wallet support side of things and helping with the payment processing. What they're now offering as well was the whole connect side of things, which was all about building apps within the space, right? So if people are out there, they want a toolkit to go ahead and actually build apps, they can go ahead and do that. As we've advocated on many times before, you don't need a ton of money to get involved in this space and to build apps, providing the right infrastructure is there.
Yeah.
And this is what we've seen time and time again, is when a wall is thrown up, as in it's difficult to create an app, what they'll do is they'll find a way to throw a ladder up and make it easier for people to get over it.
Yeah.
You've still got to climb that ladder, don't get me wrong, it's not going to be an easy task, but at the same time, they're creating tools to help move forward, and I think that's a great thing for the space.
And with that particular, that is such an important step that they've taken in terms of just taking the initiative and creating something like that.
Yep.
Because what a lot of their presentation was about, it was the fact that any company coming into this space, first of all, you need to actually be able to focus on your company, develop all of the plans that you actually want to do and create your business.
Yep.
And within this space, until of course toolkits and development packs like that have actually been introduced,
Yep.
prior you actually had to be a blockchain expert as
Yep.
well. So actually understanding how to apply that business model to the blockchain.
Yep.
So it was a lot to take on board and a lot to focus on, and they've taken a lot of that weight and a lot of that stress off a lot of these companies to come in and create new and amazing ideas that none of us people possibly even can partially conceive at the moment.
Yeah, and I think that was one thing that, again, I'm jumping down the list just quickly now, but let's just go straight to Craig, because I think this is a good one to do, right? Craig Wright said there yesterday that what he wants more than anything from everybody that's sitting in the crowd and everybody that's watching and obviously a part of the BSV movement is to go out there and create. Not just create something that no one ever believed was even possible. That is where we need to be, and that's where we're going to be moving forward. The fact that we now can do microtransactions, as he said very clearly yesterday in his speech, is a major thing. And we're not just talking about 1 pence for a transaction or 1 cent, we're talking about 1/10 of a cent, 1/10 of a penny. That seriously means that there are things that were never possible in the past to be possible now. And I think that we advocate that exact same thing. If you are exactly in this space and you are interested in it, go out there and build. Go out there and actually contribute to the space in a positive way, because this for us is the way forward. This is the future. It's not going to be the way that we've known it for the last 10, 20 years. Things are changing, whether you like it or not. And for us, I think this is just a better way forward.
Yeah, and that is why aggressive scaling is so important. And that transitions me into the presentation that I literally just came out of.
So that was Ken Hill, right? From, that was EHR Data. Yeah?
That's the one, that's the one. I was actually really excited to go and see that presentation, and it delivered on everything that they basically were saying.
Yep.
Now, what they're currently doing is America, the healthcare industry. They've been in the industry for 41 years now, so huge amounts of experience. Started off with stamps, then went to typewriters, they went through the whole process. A lot of it is actually depicted on a lot of these different companies within the Bitcoin space, on how we actually entered into the internet, etc.
That natural progressional path.
Natural progression. Now, what they're explaining is the healthcare that is currently out in America, they're having a opium epidemic. So a lot of people are actually, unfortunately, passing from overdosing on opium. Now, the reason why that's an issue at the moment is because of how our healthcare data is actually basically captured. So you'll go to, just to talk about it from my knowledge and talking about in terms of the UK, you'll have one GP. You can go to that GP, get prescribed a prescription, and then that very same day you can go to another GP, get prescribed another prescription, and they have no way of communicating between each other to know that they're basically giving me a lot more than effectively what they should be.
Sure.
Because the way that the data is held is individually within every single GP, so there's no communication between the two. So this is something that we've actually mentioned on previous episodes of CryptoTime. The fact that it can actually revolutionize the healthcare industry by owning your own data. Now, how that gets applied is, what they're going to do is use the BSV blockchain to then create a open source platform where all of these different healthcare industries or healthcare companies can actually access that data, and I can walk into anywhere, whether it's Boots here or whether it's a healthcare center out in America, and they'll have the full records of everything that's ever happened to me. So I don't need to remember the fact that I popped into the hospital 10 years ago and this happened to me. I can just walk into there, they will know exactly what the situation is, they'll know exactly what I've previously been prescribed and when I was prescribed.
What your blood type is, all the things that they need to know.
Even to the point of when, if they wanted to monitor my heart rate, Apple device, communicate straight to the blockchain, and they'll be able to monitor that on the fly.
That's incredible, and I think this is the way that this space is moving forward. Excuse me, Antonio, we've been finding more information for it, and we've got notes in all different places at the moment, whether it's on iPads or phones or wherever it is. We're just making it work at this CoinGeek 2020.
So I actually wanted to support that with some figures. So if we're taking the opium epidemic that is currently out in the US, now the prescriptions on that alone are anywhere between 1.6 million and 3.2 million prescriptions per day. So now if you're then putting that into BSV transactions, that is 1.6 million to 3.2 million transactions on chain per day. And that is just taking the opium epidemic into account, not the fact that actually capturing the whole healthcare industry, which is a possibility.
No, I couldn't agree more, and I think that one of the sides that we've spoken quite heavily on in the past as well, which has always been interesting, is the whole side of things with KYC and AML. Very similar kind of process, and very real world applications that you can place this onto. If you could literally apply that to a mortgage or this or the other, it's very similar technology, and these are the kind of things that we're hearing at this event, which are really making people kind of stand up to it all and realize that, hang on a minute, this isn't only just a great bit of technology that they can see the future of, this is the way it's going to work, and this is how the future actually now starts to look. And I think that's a really cool way to look at things at the moment. When we go through other speakers that have been here, for me, I think someone else who stood out was the CEO of Centbee, Lorien, which was very interesting as well in terms of his stance on KYC regulation and how it's all going to be working and how it's working with his company. That was very positive to see as well, because again, everyone in the space has had to go through a transition of understanding how the on and off ramps work, and everybody is trying to act as pre-compliant as possible. Again, people are supporting that notion here at this event. They're saying that what the art of going forward is transparency, and they will do that through all these different avenues, and being able to ensure that they're doing proper onboarding of clients is a very good way of doing that, and I'm sure you'd agree with that.
100%. 100%. And it just quite clearly shows the new path that everyone's going to be on, and how we do pretty much change our futures.
100%. And also, we spoke about in our previous episode one of the members of the Swiss National Bank being here. Again, another really interesting talk. Mentioned about how having transparency within the space is very important, how they can utilize blockchain technology. Again, 5 years ago, no one was talking about banks being able to adopt. It was all this kind of anarchy type movement and all the rubbish that was coming around it. Again, having people talk from the Swiss National Bank, talk to you personally on KYC and AML and what our stances are on them is very, very encouraging that they're coming up to the right people in the space.
You start to understand that term of be your own bank isn't a realistic term. And it shouldn't be that way for multiple reasons, in which we've discussed previously on CryptoTime.
No. And I think this is a great time to actually, move on. Let's have some chats with some random people around the space. Let's go up to some stands. Let's speak to some people, and let's find out. But as far as I'm concerned, halfway through day 2, this has been an absolutely amazing event, and I'm looking forward to seeing what really comes from the rest of the day. To be quite honest.
And it looks like we're going to be busy again, which is always a positive.
It does indeed.
Yes, so our whole mission in life is to bring Bitcoin to Africa. You know, I'm from Africa, I'm from Zimbabwe, and for the last almost 10 years now, I've been trying to make it easier for people to get Bitcoin and spend Bitcoin.
Of course.
And so we've been building out a number of products. We've had a lot of success where we have now products in retail outlets, large supermarket chains across the country, where it's very easy for people to be able to buy Bitcoin over the counter with cash.
That's incredible.
So I really think that South Africa is the Bitcoin capital because it's just so accessible there. But it's not enough for people to be able to get Bitcoin. They need to be able to spend it and use it as well. So we're working on a whole lot of merchant payment systems so that they can go and actually use their Bitcoin. That's very important. And then also, one thing that happens in Africa is that there are a lot of people who send money home to other countries. Of course, You know, South Africa is the largest economy, so we have a lot of Africans from all countries through the continent coming into South Africa, and then every month sending small amounts of money back home to their families, and at great cost. So, we've always thought that Bitcoin, and I know it's a cliche, that Bitcoin is perfect for remittance, and indeed it is. So we now have created a new product called Minute Money, and we are now using Bitcoin SV as a rail to be able to send money cheaply and very efficiently and very conveniently back to their people's families where they need it most.
I suppose part of my job is that I'm building a marketing and marcoms machine that can be used to help facilitate the learning and education of people outside of BSV, but to primarily serve BSV internally. And what's really important for me is the interrelationship of the space and how information flows internally, and how we can leverage the expertise of all the dynamic understanding of different people to help one another, to kickstart and leverage and increase the pace of development in BSV.
No, that's incredible, and I think it's something that's very much important in this time, especially within this space, because we've seen it grow so much, and now we're starting to see those links where we can connect and we can have projects such as this, which are fantastic. What's your thoughts on the event so far?
Absolutely loving it. As we were just speaking a moment ago, I was blown away by Michael Hudson's speech yesterday, the amount of Easter eggs that were dropped in there. So a little challenge to anyone out there. Can they tweet out what those Easter eggs were? They might need to go through it with a fine-tooth comb. So much incredible, inspiring, ripping up the rule book.
Certainly is, always is.
And I think a lot of people were moved. I think a lot of people were inspired, and I think that's a lot of people assuming that it's just about announcements at CoinGeek, but I think that what they do forget is the other 60%, which is the integration, the business, and the conversations that occur, so that when people leave this event, they've got something new to take with them.
Where we personally are very excited to see like many people coming from different industries, that they are actually like getting the concept of what Bitcoin actually is, and they are willing to build any kind of type of solutions on top of Bitcoin. So I think this is really cool, and this is something that we are experimenting now in every CoinGeek that we are attending. This is what is actually like growing, but at the same time we are keeping like the same core values on the CoinGeek conference. So
it's very neat to see so many companies focusing on microtransactions. And that's where the industry is heading. And if we can have everybody doing microtransactions on all these different apps, then everybody is kind of in a sharing economy.
And we're going to change the way it feels and the way it is to actually work with these products. Is the whole feeling of not actually feeling it's there, but using it in the background is great.
So I had a script, right? done by our wonderful Nicola.
Yep.
And I had the epiphany moment the day before, where I just stood on the stage, empty room, but I was just simulating what message I really wanted to portray. It was to speak from the heart and just speak our message, just things that we speak about in the office on a daily basis, the things that are resonating out of our office on a daily basis. It's time to allow that energy to flow outside just the Bitstocks office and globally, because we need the world now to bound around what it is that we're doing, be curious about what it is that we're doing. I think just plugging a product was missing the point. I think it was more important to demonstrate the message, and then we've got this beautiful stand to talk about the products. So yeah, it's just more about, I hope, put out a message out there that will be immortalized by the internet.
No, and this was the cool thing that we all took from this and what the crowd took from it. It was emotional. Everybody felt it. We could feel that vibe within the room.
I had to run up the stage before I cried. I was like, yeah, it's a mission. I was like, go on.
But this is the whole point, right? Is that the whole thing is we could feel that energy in the room. And I think that's what we've taken as well from this whole event, is it's all about enterprise now. It's about rolling through, putting out the products that people have, understanding the way that you see Bitcoin and pushing that out to the masses. I think it's been fantastic. So again, brother.
Appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
Is this the closest I'm ever going to get to CryptoTime?
Probably. We'll get you in at some point. So guys, another episode of fantastic Crypto Time. We have had a brilliant event here at the CoinGeek 2020. It's time to wrap things up now. I know you had a couple of words that you wanted to say on the day.
I'm more going to throw them at you, to be honest with you, mate. How did you find interviewing everyone?
It was brilliant, to be honest with you. Again, it's just about getting a snap into the ideas of what's happening with the movers and shakers, as we mentioned in this episode earlier, and understanding what's going on and seeing how this enterprise is developing in the space. So as always, guys, I thank you so much for watching this episode of Crypto Time. Please hit that like, subscribe and notification if you are enjoying the episodes that are coming out from us. And if you have comments on what's happened at this event, we'd welcome them in the comments section below. So as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.
Peace and love.